Hey guys, got another adventure. Traditionally, I don't have this many adventures in a week. We just had opportunity. Sunday, not a lot going on. The rain finally died. Now, that place I took my motorcycle, what was that, a week ago? Yeah, exactly a week ago. They had those awesome river crossings. So, let's take the Rubicon out and go hit those same river crossings and let's see how that goes. I have a feeling I should do a little bit better, no tipping over on this trip. But anyway, sun's finally kind of out. We've had hardcore rain for 2 days in a row, so it's going to be pretty wet. I got the GoPro with. We'll see what we can capture for some video, and we'll see you guys later. This one's flowing pretty good. Alright, this river is flowing really strong, so we got kind of a once in a lifetime chance we're gonna have. Disconnect is off, so we can get over this. And there we go. That is so awesome. That is so sweet. So cool to see what this Jeep is capable of. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Now, that Jeep ride was awesome. That's all I can say is awesome. Not only was the scenery great, but we literally saw one other vehicle out there, And once we got past them, we hit all those crossings and didn't run into anybody after that. So really cool to have that experience. I did take my girlfriend with, and she was a little bit freaked out a few times, which probably makes sense. That last crossing we did where the water was flowing, the Jeep actually, you could feel it getting pushed. The current was pushing the Jeep down river. So pretty impressed with how it held up. Now I do have a winch, of course, and I felt very safe in that setting. Even if we did get off that little rock ledge, which I saw that was there last time we took the motorcycle out, I feel pretty confident that we could have winched her out of there. So that would have just made for more of an adventure, soaking wet adventure. Now, one thing on those Jeeps is the doors, they're actually designed so the water can go up over the hood level. Now, of course, moving water is a different story, but just standing water. So the doors actually have this really thick seal on them. When you slam the doors, you have to slam them really hard in order for that door to seal correctly. Now, even with that door sealed, we got a little bit of water in there. I noticed the carpet was a little bit damp, but I've had that top off in rainstorms many times. That interior has been soaked probably a dozen times. I bought that thing back in 2013. It's a 2013 Rubicon 10th anniversary edition. I custom ordered it, manual transmission, loaded up pretty good. That was a gift to myself back in 2013. I had my business for about 4 years now. I was finally starting to make a little bit of money. I was living in this kind of podunk house out in a rural area. And I just needed something to kind of reward myself for all of the effort to get to that point, because I'd been living pretty rough for the first few years starting this business. So that was a pretty cool thing to have. And everybody told me, well, not everybody, I'd say 4 or 5 of my friends, people who have had Jeeps in the past, they say the lifespan for a Jeep owner is typically a year or 2. Because you know what, they are kind of cramped and they don't ride the greatest. They look really cool and the capability is extremely impressive. But if it's your only car, I can see probably not owning that for more than a couple of years, unless you do a lot of off-roading. But I've had that car. It was my primary car for 3 years, 4 years, and then I bought a truck, so I had that next to it, so I could drive that a little bit more comfortable. So anyway, if you're into off-roading, Jeeps are pretty impressive, as you can see what that thing handled. Okay, a lot of exciting things going on. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about people and kind of how we deal with people. Now, as I've gotten older, two things have happened. One, I'm a little bit more cranky. I don't have as much patience for stupidity. But I've also recognized that there are certain things in life that are worth getting upset about, and there are certain things in life that just you can't change. You're not going to change somebody. You're not going to change the world in that respect. So we just got to kind of deal with it. So I wanted to read an article for you today, and then we're going to discuss a little bit about ignorance. How to tolerate ignorance. Before we get in the article, what brought me to this topic is ignorance is so plentiful nowadays, isn't it? I mean, first of all, you should do a little self-evaluation. Are you ignorant? Now, I make a pretty valid attempt not to be. I know there's been times where I've thought I've known something I've been pretty spot on about something, and then I've later been wrong. And there's an acceptance to that. But ignorance is basically when you spew out all of this information as if it is the truth, if it is fact, if it is even an honest opinion. A lot of times ignorant people just spew out information just to talk, just to sound like they're important, to sound like they know something, to try to convince you of something that they believe, despite the fact that it could be totally out in left field. So let me start with the article, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So let me pull this over here. Now, the article starts out talking about how ignorance is bliss. Okay. There's a movie out there called My Idiot Brother. I think that's what it's called, My Idiot Brother. It's got some well-known actor in it. And this guy's kind of a pothead, and he basically lives life day to day, doesn't really have anything solid going on, doesn't plan for his future. And when I saw that movie, I was kind of envious of this guy. Because I remember thinking, it would be nice not to be caught up in my own head, where I need to have a game plan. I do have to plan for my business. I do have to think about my children. I do have to think about future and some level of security. But to live in that guy's mind, where none of that stuff really matters, that would be kind of cool. So anyway, if you haven't seen that movie, give it a shot. Okay, ignorance is bliss, but not every time. The action when developed in a person often hurts another's thoughts. Okay, so someone who's ignorant, they have this idea, and the way they spew it, it interferes with another person's way of thinking, especially if they're not a strong person. It especially takes place in a person when they think they are educated when they're not. They feel that they know something when they don't. Here's a couple ways to deal with ignorant people. Now, this is a good article because I've used a lot of these different ways, okay? Now, the first one is ignore them. That's easier said than done, right? It really depends on the atmosphere that we are within. Is this a coworker of yours? Is it as a spouse? Is it a family member? Is it actually a friend of yours? Okay. Here's what they say about ignoring them. Ignorant people and rude people are similar in the sense that they both need attention. The ignorant person tries to invoke admiration from the people by their mental abilities, while the arrogant person tries to achieve the same by showing overbearing pride. Okay, that makes total sense, right? Both types of people can be annoying. I would agree with that. Now, I've been pointed at times as coming across as arrogant. And I think there's a difference between arrogance and being educated and planning ahead. So if somebody has a problem and I have a solution to that problem based off of my life experience, the fact that maybe I've gone through something, or I have a good idea on how to handle that because I've already prepared for that type of situation. Sometimes that can come across as arrogance. The best way to avoid coming across as arrogant is to communicate back and forth, ask questions, get people's opinion while you're expressing your opinion. If you just spew out your opinion as fact, this is how you should do it, don't think anything else, then that can sometimes come across as arrogance. So, we handle an ignorant person the same manner as an arrogant person. That is by simply ignoring them. In fact, avoiding an ignorant person is the best way to deal with them. They do their foolish acts just to get the attention of others. Hence, avoiding them will take away that power. Like I said, that really depends on the situation you're in and how comfortable you feel about just blatantly ignoring a person. Now, this is one that I've used before, and that is to be kind. Okay? Kill them with kindness. We've probably heard that before. Let's see what they say about that. Try to be kind to the person who is irritating you. This may appear difficult, and maybe it is, but you should understand that an ignorant person is not well informed, and most probably not a bad person. Hence, if we sympathize with them, we might pull them away from a little bit of that ignorance. Most ignorant people develop a habit of talking about something that they know very little or nothing about. They also develop a habit of passing information without verifying all the things that come with that information. You can handle ignorant people by being kind and educating them about the topic. Being kind not only helps to convince and teach an ignorant person, but it also has the potential of placing you in the books of the ignorant person. What that means is basically you can become a resource to them at some point if they need information because they trust you. Now, I think most of us could say this could work with some people, with some types of people, but on the flip side, it's probably going to agitate others, okay? It depends on your ability to be kind in a authentic way, okay? Most of us can see a situation or see a behavior as authentic or not, all right? If somebody's trying to be overly nice, you can kind of see through the cracks on that. So anyway, it depends on your ability to do that. If you can be kind and sweet in an authentic way and help navigate them toward a better way of thinking, that's awesome. All right. This would be a difficult one for me, although I do feel like I'm open enough to talk to people and hear them out and then kind of play devil's advocate in a productive way, not a negative way. Devil's advocate in a negative way, I don't think most people like that, right? We all like to, I'm trying not to use extremes when I say we all within my circle, the people that I know, we like to challenge one another a little bit. It's always good. I've got a friend of mine who is, I would consider a biblical Christian, meaning he fully believes the Bible through and through, and I'm an atheist. So we have some really good conversations. Now, we're awesome friends. We both respect one another. And some of the things he says, I could probably say are kind of ignorant, because you're reading it. It's somebody else's words, blah, blah. We know the argument there. And he could probably say the same thing about me. But we both respect one another enough, and we're kind and we're respectful in our communication. We can get through conversations like that. And that's a pretty heated one in a lot of situations. Okay, last one, or second to last. Provide external reference. Many ignorant people can also be arrogant ones. Quite often, arrogance and ignorance go together. So don't try to invade their ego, okay? If that is the type of person you're dealing with, like I said before about being kind, they're going to see through the cracks. If you ignore them or try to redirect them, they're going to get annoyed by that. That's that ignorant and arrogant person. If you sincerely want to teach an ignorant person about the actual things, offer them choices of information to review. Now, I've done this before when I've talked to people who maybe aren't ignorant, but maybe they're ill-informed. I will provide material that I feel would help them better see what I'm seeing. Okay, if I'm trying to convince them of something that I believe, I will use that information to kind of help guide them. Your intention is not to defeat an ignorant person, but rather make it a point to correct the false point of view. So, never sound like you know everything about anything. That in turn makes you look ignorant. I like that. So never sound like you know everything about anything. That in turn makes you look ignorant. So the whole idea of conversing with somebody who's kind of set in their ways and has this idea in their head, we want to be productive, look for ways to help educate them, maybe in a different way, so that they're not spreading that ignorance around. Ignorant people usually don't have a whole lot of friends. That would be my opinion. Remember their ignorant remarks. Okay? Listen to this one. This one's kind of interesting. I could see where this would provoke an argument, honestly. Most often it happens that ignorant people say the words without having any evidence or regard about their implications. They believe that things are as they understand them. However, they're the ones who always contradict themselves on many topics at different times. So accept their opinion in a wise and gentle manner. Now, this is you being kind again. Accept their opinion in a wise and gentle manner, but remember what they said, and stay quiet for a while. At some other time, could be the same conversation. We've probably all been through that where someone will contradict themselves within the same 10 minutes. At some other time, if they bring forth a contradicting point of view on the same topic, remind them of their previous opinion about the topic. You see what I mean? You see how that could probably provoke an argument? So it really depends on who you're dealing with. We have to be able to read people. We have to be able to understand redirection, and a little bit of foresight's important because we can see or predict where that's probably going to go. All right, I know people that if I did this to, then it would turn into a 10, 15, 20-minute defensive argument on their part on why they're not contradicting themselves. Even though it's blatantly right there for everybody to see, they would defend themselves. It would turn heated. So, not a bad idea, depending on who it is, though. Okay, some people can take criticism well, some can't. The last one is peacefully walk away. Okay, so we have the first one that started out with ignoring them. All right, so this must be after you hear a little bit of them being ignorant, and then we just walk away. This is the best and last thing that you can do. If the person gets enraged, behaves awkwardly, or totally insane, just say your piece. You're my dear friend. Smile and leave, as if you're not in the mood to even listen to their craziness. Okay? Just go away from that place without wasting any more time. I like that. You're my dear friend. and then you just walk away. I don't know how I would respond if somebody did that to me, okay? If I was very passionate, even if I was being ignorant, if that was their response, that would probably annoy me a little bit. But remember, it's not about us, meaning the ignorant people. It's about you, meaning you as the person who's on the receiving end of ignorance. And sometimes we get caught up that way in our lives where we don't want to hurt other people's feelings. I've run into this a few times. I was out hiking one time and I ran into this elderly guy and I'm like, hey, how's your day going? And he said, good. He stopped and he asked me a question about the trail. He went on and on for like 20 minutes. We just kept talking and I'm thinking in my head, those times where we have a conversation in your head while you are supposed to be listening to somebody. And he kept going on and I'm thinking in my head, this guy probably just doesn't have anybody to talk to. He seems eager. Somebody's finally listening to him. And so I kind of let him say his piece. And then as soon as there was a break, which there wasn't a lot, I looked at my watch and I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry. I got to get going here. I've got to get this hike done so I can get back and pick my daughters up from school. It was a little bit of a white lie. But there's something about being nice. There's something about being courteous and respectful and just giving people an opportunity once in a while. But if it's negatively impacting you, like I said, an arrogant or an ignorant person, is it really our job to be nice in that situation? Maybe it's best to just care about ourselves, care about the positive energy that we want to let into our lives, not that negativity. So a good article, some value. I could see using some of these different techniques in that situation. I do tend to surround myself with people who aren't ignorant. They usually have a pretty good head on their shoulders. So that's probably a big step right there. But remember, be careful not to be the ignorant one trying to convince the ignorant one. We want to make sure that we have something valid to offer. And sometimes if you don't know, it's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to say, I'm really not that familiar on that topic. I'd like to do a little bit more research and I'd like to hear both sides of it so I can make an informed decision. And sometimes that's helpful and you can ask the person who's very passionate about their opinion, like, well, what does the other side think about this? What kind of viewpoints have you gotten from the other side? Because that's so important. And like I said, starting this out is how prevalent ignorance is right now. We had the election, we had the politics of Trump, people who liked him or hated him. There was a lot of ignorance in the fact that why people hated Trump. They didn't know anything. They listened to the media, they read headlines, and when the media doesn't like the president, when 80% of the media doesn't, that's what's being thrown in your face all the time. And that is a pure sign of ignorance. People say he's dumb or he's stupid. And no, this is not a stupid man. It's easy to pull things out of anybody's words and make them sound stupid, right? And yes, there are times he would say things that I didn't agree with or it sounded foolish or it made him look bad. But he's just one of these guys who's genuine, right? He just says what's on his mind and sometimes he puts his foot in his mouth. But as an educated person, it's our job to read between those lines. I like the saying when it comes to electing a president. If I needed a plumber, somebody to come in and fix some damage within my house. I had a big leak, I had damage, and I wanted somebody good who's going to fix this. Do I care if that plumber who's coming in is an alcoholic? If he's kind of an ass to people? If he's cheats on his taxes? Not really. To be honest, I have a job for him to do. And that job is to fix the things I need fixed, be fair with the price, and be respectful and have some integrity while he's in my home. If he can do that, that is all I really need from him. His personal life isn't that big of a deal to me. So granted, the president is a representation of our country, so we want somebody who puts forth that face and that expression. But on the flip side, Trump, in my opinion, was doing an awesome job. Very strict on policies, on immigration, on getting some separation from China, lowering taxes, finding better ways to build the economy. Those are the things I look for. Okay. We're getting onto a whole nother tangent here, right? This could be a whole nother episode. So I'll save the whole political talk for later. But what I meant from that is that's a sign of ignorance. There's just a lot out there. And then we had the election fraud thing. And then we had people coming into office and people's opinions on Antifa and people's opinions on Trump supporters and the Capitol riots and all that kind of stuff that ignorance feeds on. When you're misinformed, it breeds ignorance, okay? And especially when there's passion behind some of those things. So anyway, hopefully some of those tips helped you guys a little bit, or at least made you think about yourself. You know, we always want to make sure we're not the ignorant one. And how do we deal with people who are, right? Educate yourself so you can educate others. You can redirect others, okay? Don't fall into that same category. All right, guys, I'm exhausted. It's been a long day. That Jeep ride was awesome. I'm hoping to get that Jeep out a little bit more. We've got lots of cool trails out in this area. And I just got my Insta360 camera that a buddy of mine recommended. I'm going to have a blast with that thing. So we'll see what we can come up with. All right, you guys have an awesome day, and we will see you next time.